Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club for Mixed Media Monday, and I'm using the 2018 June kits. And I wanted to start with this paper from Pink Fresh Studio. I've already cut it up for some of the bits and pieces for some other ideas that I had for other layouts. And when I started to look at it, I noticed that there are rainbow colors. So I thought I'm going to create some sort of rainbow color scheme. Now it's not a true, primary color rainbow, but there's pink, there's orange, there's yellow, there's green, and there's blue. And so I thought I'm going to make this soft, pretty, kind of a stacked, layered sentiment. All these little pieces, have little phrases or sentiments on them. And then I thought I would just create sort of a vertical stack of colors. And then I also went through the Project Life cards and some of the other bits and pieces and added those in. Like if you see above the orange strip, there's the white with the little orange flowers. That's from a Project Life card. And so I love how this looks. I'm going to use the dark gray at the very bottom. And I don't know if you noticed, but in all of the Pretty Little Studio embellishments, the packaging is so cool. It's got these watercolor strokes and dots and blue, pink, and yellow, and all I'm going to do is tear off the actual label that says Pretty Little Studio and use it as a little pattern paper. Well, I think I'm going to use it at this point. I wanted to incorporate it in, but I love how this looks. I love a rainbow, and I'm going to use this really cute black and white picture of Paige. And so that's kind of my starting point for this. And I went back and forth about using a pattern paper or a colored cardstock as my background, but I thought, to really make the rainbow stand out, white background would probably be best. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I know I use that a lot, but sometimes it's just the best choice, I think. So I'm going to use some clear gesso on it to get that out of the way, because I know I want to add a little bit of the color kit to the background. But I'm going to sort of kind of lay everything out and see how much space I have to work with. So this is pretty much going to take up from the top to the bottom. And I love how that looks. And I want it to go right down the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and tape all of the pieces together so I can move it as one big piece. That way I don't have to keep reassembling all of the pieces each time. Sorry if my voice is scratchy. I'm doing this voiceover in the morning. And we all know what morning voices sound like. So yeah. Anyway, I love that dark gray. And there's no purple in this, and I was okay with that. I love how the gray looks at the bottom. And I think I'm just going to tuck my picture in on one of the sides, kind of off center there. Now, I wanted to pull in some of the Vicki Boutin stamps, and so I'm going to use a gray ink pad, and this is archival ink from my stash. So it still gives the illusion of, black, but it's a lot lighter. And I'm just going to do a couple of flowers kind of peeking out from underneath everything. I don't want to go overboard, but I just wanted to kind of tie in the gray since the photo has a lot of gray. And this is just sort of subtle detail, and I love how that looks. And it stamps perfectly fine on top of the gesso. That really wasn't an issue at all. Now I'm going to pull out the color kit, and if you got the color kit, it's got 3 shimmers plus those stamps that I just used. 2 of the shimmers are brand new Shimmers paints. This is a really pretty glittery shimmery pink paint, and it's called Pinko de Mayo. And what I thought I would do is just use the paints to kind of create some messy little brush strokes behind each color. And this is not, neat at all. I'm just spreading it down with the brush and then using my finger to smudge it. And it looks messy and fast because it was. I didn't really spend a lot of time doing it. I just wanted some messy color kind of peeking out from behind each row. That's another one that's from the color kit that's called Going Peach Side. Now I did pull some from my stash. The yellow is not from the color kit, but it's one of the new colors from Shimmers, and it's called Limoncello. So I'm going to use that behind the yellow. And this was super easy to do. If you have a paintbrush, you can do that. This is one of the other new colors. It's the aqua blue tone, and it's called Pull Me Closer. Now this one is from the color kit. It's the one spray that we get, and it's sort of new from Shimmers, not brand new, but one of the newer colors, and it's called Frostbite. And it is really pretty and goes very well with this bluish periwinkle color from this Pink Fresh Studio collection. And I'm just kind of dabbing it down and smudging it with my fingers. The last color that I'm going to use is from my stash, and it's a Colorings from Shimmers, and it's called A Shade of Gray. And so now I've got all my colors, I've got all the background done. It's very subtle, but very, very pretty. I love how it mimics each color strip. And then I'm going to tuck my photo in right there. That's where it's going to go. And I thought I would add an extra flower stamp on the outside of the picture. And so now that the bulk of the page is pretty much finished, or the bulk of the design is finished, the fun part, well, it's all fun, but one of the fun parts is going to be sorting through all of those embellishments. And so you can see here, I did a little bit of stitching. I used matching thread for each color, and then just did a straight stitch through each area. And you can see how shimmery the color is from those shimmers. And now I'm going to start to play with embellishments. I spent some time off camera and went through all of the pink. There comes my child. My child is going to make an appearance here very shortly, so stay tuned for that. I pulled out all the epoxy stickers, chipboard, die cuts, puffy stickers, mostly from Pink Fresh Studio because everything coordinates with these colors. And I just sort of went tone on tone. I tried to put pink things on the pink section, orange things on the orange, and so on and so on, and just tried to keep everything in that same color row. And there are so many things. I felt like I could have just kept going and going and going, but I didn't want to overload the pieces of paper. I just wanted to accent them. And so this is a fun thing to do when you've got so many things from one collection, is you can really, you know, use things in the same color area because everything matches so perfectly. And I had to turn things away because I already had enough. So there was definitely an abundance of things to use. So I'm going to use that blue, beautiful puffy sticker, the orange one right there that says sweet. The epoxy stickers are awesome. And then I'm going to use that cute little flowers in water die cut to the left of the picture, that big orange flower right there as a layer underneath, and then a couple of flowers and leaves over on the right. That green leaf on the right is actually from the Pretty Little Studio floral die cuts. And I'm going to add a little bit of foam underneath my picture just to make it even, since the top part is going to be layered on top of that chipboard flower. I'm just going to make sure everything's glued down. So here's where my child decides to just come into my craft room. She's always in here, but I had to show you this part. And she just laid down on my layout. Her wild hair going crazy. She just said, hey, I'm just going to lay down right here on your project. So I couldn't really do anything until she got up. She was laughing. I know you can't see her face. So I tickled her in her ear. And she still wouldn't move. She's giggling. You can't hear it, but she's so funny. Yeah, she cracks me up. I know she's never, you know, neither one of my kids are ever in my videos, but this was too funny to not share. And then she decided to start picking up embellishments and throwing them onto my page to, I guess, you know, help me out. She was being very silly this day, and yep, there she goes. I thought I would add some light blue thread because I did want to add some thread because you know me, I love thread. Oh, she's not finished. I know I see a lot of my friends who do scrapbook videos, their cats always come into the picture and sit on top of their layouts. But in this case, it's my child. I always say she's kind of like a puppy. But yeah, it's just funny. Anyway, okay, she's done. Maybe not. Okay, there she goes. I am going to add that light blue thread underneath the picture there, and it's very subtle. I didn't want to go too crazy with the thread, but you know me, I have to add a little bit of thread. But I tried to keep it color coordinated. So the yellow is going to be where the yellow is. I put the yellow on the right at first, but I just didn't like it. It was, I don't know. I didn't like it there. So I'm going to wind up taking that off. I'm going to add a little yellow and white flower and then that little green leaf sprig there. And another little yellow flower. Now this is something that Kimberly, our owner, showed me that she did, and I thought that's such a good idea. On these denim colored fabric die cuts, if you know, because they're very dark blue, if you don't want them super dark, you could put paint on top of it, you could put gesso on top of it. That's all I'm doing here. I'm just smudging a little bit of gesso with my finger and lightening it up, and then taking a baby wipe and just kind of wiping it down and smudging it in, and it does great. It lightens it up a little bit, and that's what I wanted because they're very dark and very denim. And I'm just going to use this circle heart one right here on the bottom and just tuck it in as a layer, as something else that's blue. And there's a whole pack of those denim die cuts. So just play around with them. You know, if something's not the right color, you don't have to use it as is. Gesso can do so much. You can lighten things up with gesso. You could use some of the Shimmer's paint and add that on top of it. So, you know, don't be afraid to adjust the color and experiment and play around with it. These are the Pink Fresh enamel dots I'm using. And here's another idea. These are the Pink Fresh gold puffy stickers. And for me, I wanted to use them, but they're so brassy gold. I felt like it would take away from that soft rainbow. So here's what I tried. I'm going to stick my finger in the gesso, and you could just use them as is here. It's just going to soften up the gold and make them a little more subtle and not so shiny and gold. But I wanted to make these pink. I wanted to use one of the pink hearts on the pink section. So I'm just going to use the pink shimmers and go over the gesso, and I instantly have pretty soft pink hearts, but they're still puffy and they're still shimmery, and I'm letting that dry. I'm going to go back in with a couple more color-coded things. I'm going to use some of the stickers from this bright and colorful Pretty Little Studio sticker sheet. And I just picked a couple that matched. Like, I'm not going to use the green because it's bright green, and I don't have bright green on my page. But I can use a couple of them that match. I really like how this is looking. Here's the pink heart. I also did the same thing with the yellow. So again, don't be afraid to change the color. I also did one with the blue off camera. And the spray is a little bit harder, a little bit longer to dry than the actual paint. The paint stays on a lot easier, but it's still doable if you have the shimmer spray. Here, I'm going to use this little piece of this die cut to add underneath my picture. And again, I'm just going to soften it up with some gesso. So you still get the blue color, it's just a lot lighter and softer. And then I'm almost finished. I'm going to add in some journaling right underneath the picture. I wasn't sure where to put it. I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling. It's not a lot because this is just a cute moment. It wasn't, you know, a big event. It was just another cute, everyday, hey, smile, let me take your picture type of moment. And then I'm going to stick down the blue heart. And the last thing I'm going to do is add in some dark gray splatters using the same gray, a shade of gray colorings that I used at the bottom. Not too much, but just a little bit. And then I'm going to add the date, and that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. It was so much fun to make. The rainbow situation is a lot of fun to do. So check all your Pink Fresh Studio papers. If you like rainbows, that cut apart sheet is perfect for something like this. So everything just matches. And it was one of those layouts where everything just sort of came together and it worked. And it was a lot of fun. Kind of like a puzzle, just to put all the little bits and pieces where the colors matched. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you check out hipkitclub.net for all of the details. The next kit coming out in July, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.